This is the voice of freedom. We are not one voice. We are many. We are your voice. But we can only be effective if you use your voice. Your voice. This is the voice of freedom. We will not hide from the truth. We will ask the hard questions until we are sure we have the truth. Welcome to the voice of freedom, where your voice will never be silenced.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How you going? We're using a new, different microphone tonight from what we would normally use. I just don't know whether or not you can hear us. So I see Melissa's Freedom is in the chat tonight. Hello, darling. If you can hear us, can you just give me a thumbs up or something like that? Brendan, I'll text that all to you later. Can't help you with that right now. Sorry. We'll figure all that out. Yeah, there is noise working. Oh, isn't that good? It's great when the Galactic Larrikins are in the house. And you might say, what sort of a house, ladies and gentlemen? Well, let me introduce you to the Galactic Larrikins tonight. There they are. Yay! You know, and
we're down here. Hello.
Yeah. And of course, the fun gear we are playing with tonight is our new camera gear. So, and you can see Neo the Wonder Dog playing around there, running around having a great time. So, as you can see, there is a little bit of new equipment to be playing with. So we've got it going to, well, I guess we should say, guys, we've got it going to a point, haven't we?
Yeah, we're still fine tuning it, I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
We grew up with Star Wars and Jedi, and it's all a matter of perspective.
It is.
Yeah.
So it's a success.
We're very dark, aren't we? That's all right.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
We want it dark.
Yeah.
We want the Sybil Shepherd lens.
Just
pre-programmed in.
Kind of thing you'd expect from these boys, honest, really. So, Sybil Shepherd. Have you got Sybil Shepherd fantasies? Is that what you've got?
Say that 3 times quickly.
Yeah.
You're right.
Very difficult indeed. So our cameras are pretty nifty little bits of kit, and we'll swap places. And then, when we do the turn thing.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the secret. That's the secret bit of what we do. All right. So, okay, I'll need to bring up a camera control. At the moment, what am I on? I'm on camera 2. So this camera has the ability to do a number of different little things. And that's one, it moves around, and you can see this is the back of the camera 1, which is sitting beside us. Now, if I want to zoom in over the top of that and go straight into Bear over there, that's something I can do. Now, if I want to move that up a little bit, how attractive is that? And how good is the camera in low light? Can I just say?
It's not bad.
Amazing.
It's still a bit dark,
Yeah.
but it's pretty good.
You know, considering the light we're working under is currently tinted blue, yellow, red, purple, green in various different areas.
It's very dark in
And I can tell you that by bringing you up that shot, you can see how sort of various different colors there are there. But yeah, that'll bring up a nice tight shot. And then we have the ability to pull that back nicely. Or I can click, did I put a third setting in there? I did. So that's a third setting for me there. However, if we cut to a different camera, and normally you would do all this off screen rather than on screen, then I can set up, what are we looking at? We've got number 3 on. So we've got that as a setting where now I can talk to the boys sideways.
Felt like that Johnny Rambo, was it?
Thereabouts, and you call him what you like, and do that one more time, the Johnny Rambo thing, I think. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, we can have a little bit of fun with that, and of course it makes what we do in a live sense. And once we polish this a little more, folks, I promise you, we will get better at pushing the buttons. When I say we, I specifically mean them, the Galactic Larrikins. They're going to get better at this. So I am too, but
Technically, we can't get worse.
the way it's probably going to
We're only
work.
going to be able to improve.
Oh, you're going to be
Told we
allowed.
can
You can have it all the
improve.
time you like. I don't want to get them upset. You know, I'm not going to steal. I'm not going to steal the equipment. Don't be like that. You boys can have a go. So there you go. That's a bit of a brief look. If I spin around camera 1 completely, maybe I'll need to go the other way. Get a little bit more distance out of it that way. No, this is the benefit of doing that on preview. And I'll do that. Yeah, they are. Now the audience is about to see. Ta-da! So that gives you a bit of a look at where I'm working at the moment. So that's the control screen that I'm working off to move the cameras. Ordinarily, we would have a camera controller, a keyboard here that has a joystick to make that work. But unfortunately, that's the bit we are a bit stuck on getting working at the moment. Once again, I blame them. No, I don't. It's all been great. So, yeah, that's the control point we stick on. Now, ordinarily, we would tell that camera now to go back to its first position because that's the position we wanted at. Oh, wrong camera. Do that. And the camera quite happily spins back. We can alter the speed. It does that and all those sorts of things. And now it's coming back to have a look at me. That's its first position. So that's me popping around there on that side. If I hit camera 2, it goes back for another wander. I must get to speed this up.
Yeah, you can turn it up.
Yeah, we'll figure that bit out. And there is the shot. And then if I want to come back to see my ugly bit, there we are there on that camera.
And Apple just send that sponsorship in anytime.
Very good, very good, very good. So tonight, folks, we're waiting for Spiros and we are waiting for Darren Bergworth. I have sent links through. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay. Spiros has said the server is blocking him from getting on. Wouldn't be the first time that sort of thing's happened, folks. Let's be honest. We've seen that happen with Guru and a few others, so I wouldn't be at all surprised. He is trying a different way to get on. I'm just emailing and texting at the same time. And being a typical bloke, I can't do two things at the same time. That's why they don't want you texting and driving, folks. Plenty of dickheads doing it, and insurance companies will tell you all about it. Ain't no fun whatsoever. So, yeah, Spiros is having a bit of a hard time getting on. That might be Darren Bergworth's issue as well, although I'm not expecting Darren to try and get on until about 8 o'clock. He's got a lot to say tonight about my place, which will be great. And Spiros has we've had a couple of great long chats over the last few days, so he's going to give us a bit of an update. But we're also going to be doing something new with Spiros, and that means he'll be able to help you in the way that you have requested so many times, and that is for his legal advice. Now, Spiros is not a lawyer anymore. He was a lawyer 20 years ago, a very good one, and a barrister at that, I think. But he's not anymore. So he is not legally ordained, kissed on the cheek, patted on the head, bribed up the backside, whichever way you put it, into the fraternity at the moment, because he's not a qualified, if you like, listed practicing barrister. That doesn't mean that his voluminous amount of knowledge that he's gained over his exceptionally good career, as it turned out in the legal field, needs to go to waste. So we're going to offer a service through Voice of Freedom where if you have a legal question, something that's been worrying you, you're worried about the cost of going to a lawyer and getting advice about it, well, we want to help. So each week, Spiros is going to come on and answer some of your questions. So if you have a legal dispute brewing in the background, it doesn't matter if it's divorce or if it's about a tree that overhangs your property and drops leaves or branches or whatever, or a barking dog next door, or you've got an issue with tenants in a house, or you've got neighbours you don't like. Whatever the issue, he will give some legal opinion on it for you. When I say opinion, I mean just that. I will also give opinion. If you trust my legal opinion or my opinions as legal, you're insane. So that would be the well, the general agreement of how we plan on using this. And boys, that is the way to go, isn't it? We're not going to go and do anything stupid and offer legal advice to people. That's not how we work. Do you have anything particular of a legal nature you'd like me to have a crack at before Spiros gets on here? No. Nothing on camera? Yeah.
So far, in what we've covered tonight, the brothers decided it's too dark in here, and Spiros is trying to get on. It just reminded me of a nightclub in the 90s.
Oh, Tish, how long did you work on that for?
Man, I've been waiting for ages, but you just have not taken a breath.
Oh, it's called the intro to the show, and we're trying to pad. You're right. Can I just say, sorry, I'm getting some texts through from the lawyer. He's I think using the wrong style of browser for the link we've sent, and it doesn't want to open in that flavor browser. So that, yeah, just as well that he knows how to put cases together. That's all I'll say. He may not know how to drive the technology just yet, but we're getting there. I just want to say to the folks that the last couple of days, the Galactic Larrikins have put my daughter and myself up in their house to make this happen. I don't mean sleeping. There's not enough room for that. But every other portion of the day we spend here. And it's a big invasion into their privacy and into their home. And I just wanted to make a public thank you to you boys for having us into your place. We really appreciate it. And thank you for the help in...
It sounds not too good. So we might have to talk into the microphone when we're talking. But, you're welcome, mate. Absolutely welcome.
No, well, thank you. It's great that we're able to do this together, and I'm really enjoying the journey of discovering this stuff all along the way, even if Neo will not get his nose out of my crotch. I mean, for 2 days, folks. I mean, I shower regularly, and I wash the bits appropriately. He's a beautiful boy. God love him. But he's got a very, very, very long tongue.
He's not shy.
No, there's no shy. I mean, does he measure the depth of your belly button using his tongue as well?
No, I don't let him get near.
Really?
Nowhere near.
Because I was starting to think somebody trained him for this, folks.
You've got to stop putting honey in it, mate.
I told you, mate. No Vegemite in the belly button.
The only thing in my belly button is lint, and I try and get it out as often as possible. The lint, I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right? We're not saying anything rude there. All right, so still haven't either had any luck with Spiros figuring out Chrome. So I think the link I've sent him for StreamYard, it needs to work in the Chrome browser. But maybe he's not actually getting it. You can't hear the Larrikins. Carl Paul sorted that out. Thank you very much. Carl, did you hear about Airbus Elbow today? We haven't heard anything today. We've been flat out trying to get these cameras together so we could go, look at that, look at that, and then go, look at that, yay, and then go, look at that, and then go, look at that.
And clearly we didn't get to the sound.
Yeah, and clearly the sound bit hasn't.
Problems.
Yeah.
Hence we're working.
Hey, do you want
with
to have a look?
Yeah. So that's how tonight's working out. And clearly ASIO Oasis, who are only 2 or 3 blocks away in reality, knew I'm in town. I've actually been down and seen Dan and the crew yesterday, and I waved at number 5, which is what we affectionately call the surveillance system that they've put up on the guys down at the lake. Number 5's live. Yeah, and if you haven't seen Short Circuit, folks, go and have a look. It's an old movie, but it's a good movie. Great one for the kids on school holidays.
Who else was there?
Ali Sheedy, and there was a guy with short, dark, curly hair who never really did much else. Was that the movie that Electric Dreams came from? together in Electric Dreams, Giorgio Moroder and Phil Oakey? Oh no, that was the one where a bottle of champagne fell into a computer, and the computer came to life. Yeah. Oh, it was called Electric Dreams. I just remember the songs. Radio. Giorgio Moroder wrote it.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah. He wrote a lot of music back in the 80s. Thank you, Adam. Thank you very much, mate. Your $10 will go a long way. I really appreciate you thinking of us to that thing. I really appreciate it.
And if you're going to go see a movie, go see Maverick. Best movie in decades.
Oh, you're plugging Tom Cruise, although he did hand back his Golden Globes. So
you've just got to ignore. Unfortunately, we know all this stuff about these guys, and you just want to get lost in some entertainment for a while. You've got to try and ignore us.
Otherwise, you never watch Hollywood or listen to another song ever again.
Chris is asking, was it Steve Guttenberg? The
Steve Guttenberg. That's who.
Yeah, Steve Guttenberg. Well done. There you go. There is the proceeds of a misspent youth right there. And I've had lunch with Chris Starseeds, and I can tell you there was definitely a misspent youth, a kindred soul. One takes one to know one. I think that's the best way to proffer that one up. This might wind up being something of a Friday night free-for-all that I haven't prepared anything at all for, and nobody ever turned up for, because at this point in time it seems like Spiros is having terrible troubles connecting. I'm not expecting Darren yet for another 10 or 12 minutes. He's been involved in quite a number of things for My Place tonight. It is their My Place administration Zoom meeting, and I think there are about 60 odd people that go on that Zoom meeting. So they discuss how they're going to help others join and connect in their own area with their My Place. And they talk about ways of being able to grow the My Place brand across Australia, which we're obviously trying to help do. So guys, while we're waiting, let's just talk about a few of the plans that we've talked about for what we're going to do this year and how My Place is going to play a role in that. One of those tools that we will employ, let's say, we discussed yesterday, is going to be something of a talent quest. Rob, you had a concern about us going and doing a talent quest.
I've been voting no. I have. I grew up with Hey Hey It's Saturday and Red Faces, and that's all I can ever see. To be honest, if I get to vote on them and like be sarcastic, be Red Simons, I mean,
maybe that's what we should have, is a Red Faces.
Yeah,
that'd be more.
But what about the people with genuine talent?
Yeah,
I mean,
they can be funny. They can be something funny.
Yeah, well, so the genuine talent, I've written this great song. It's about my family growing up on the land and the bank trying to take the money away, take their farm away. And we asked them to say, can you just make it a bit funny?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mood downer, really, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. Which bit in Galactic Larrikins do you think is the
yeah, there's no downer. We want lifting, great awakening. And that's what I do get you.
And I appreciate there are some very good singers out there. There's a problem. Songs too. There are some good sad songs. But the problem is, most of the good singers are singing covers, and we can't put that out. So to get someone who's both a very good singer and a very good songwriter is pretty unusual, and that's why it's very unusual. You don't see it anywhere, even commercially. Well, Tom McDonald is the best.
Tom McDonald is great. If you haven't seen Tom McDonald, go to YouTube and have a listen to his song "Clones." I think it's called, or
Clone Rapper.
Clone Rappers. Clone Rappers. Yeah, Clone Rappers.
Can't hear the boys speaking. Okay, we're gonna have to talk up.
Yes, I will crank your microphone. Oh well. No, you're not unplugged. I can see your little meters bouncing, but the meter and the control and for the meter, yeah, you might have to gain it up.
Which one are we two?
Yeah, you're two. There you go.
Okay, testing. Oh, well, we can't actually hear it. So.
No.
Hopefully that helped everyone. Let us know.
Not that great.
So I'm holding it. These microphones work in a certain way. They're not good if you hold them out here. So you've probably got to hold them relatively close. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry?
Talk like you normally hold with the
Oh, right up here. Yeah. Unless we're going to be like
SW
cheeks,
dived on the HMAS Canberra in Sydney Harbour. She had a foot of algae on her hull. I'm not at all surprised. That's the boat that went over to Tonga, was it, during the or after the volcano? Pardon me, and then broke down. I think broke down while it was tied up at the only wharf in town and blocked it. Engine troubles, really big engine troubles. The boat actually wound up being towed back to Australia and is currently in Sydney Harbour having a lot of work done to it. In fact, one of our regular blokes has been appointed to work on that very boat, Sean Ambrose. So g'day to Sean. I hope he's doing well at the moment. Hi to his family and everybody. But yes, he's been working on board the Canberra for the last few months, as far as I'm aware. And yes, she's in a pretty poor state, but I don't think they're worried about what's under the boat at the moment. I think they're a bit more worried about what's going on inside it. Having a bit of a scroll down, have you guys seen any questions that I have missed?
No, but let's talk about the funniest thing that's happened all week.
Oh, okay.
It's Joe Biden. Joe Biden.
Yes.
And his classified documents next to his Corvette. But yeah, because they're locked up next to his Corvette, so they're safe.
So they're safe because the Corvette's safe. So, and you wouldn't risk his Corvette. So
No.
Of course, the document's going to be safe, aren't they? Yeah.
Absolutely. Safest place in town for them.
Meanwhile, apparently, at the same time, Hunter Biden, who was a crack addict at the time, was renting the property from his father for $50,000 a month. Which just, do you want to catch that one? That was just been, some nice good sleuth went through the laptop. Good old Miranda Devine, the Aussie chick who reporter. Yes, so she's been reporting it. But yeah, they found this document, basically one of his tax returns. I think it's Hunter Biden's tax return, something like that. And yeah, claiming that he lived on that address that where the classified documents were, and was renting it for $50,000 a month. Where did that money come from? Barisma. We are just on Rumble. We're on YouTube. Okay, maybe we'll change topics.
Yeah. Hello, Sue. Good to see you.
Yeah, hi,
Yeah, go
Sue.
see you too, Sue. Thank you.
Paul Orchard has just put this comment up. The Royal Australian Navy has just taken the HMAS Vampire out of mothballs for a refit.
All right.
Good effort, Paul.
We're all sunburnt. Yeah, we are sunburnt, Paul. We've been out in the sun all day, so yeah, it's good. You know, healthy tan. It's all right. It's good.
So a lot of chat in the room about Australia sending troops. Australia sending troops to the Ukraine to fight against the Russians. I don't know that we have. I haven't seen any news today. I don't know whether you guys have.
I saw Aussie Cossack posted some video, but I didn't get a chance to see it because we were trying to make cameras work. But yeah, I saw it. He said there was something that he had posted. So anyone in the chat's going to.
Yeah, if you've got any news, have we
notes on it.
committed to more than 70 people? I knew it wouldn't be long, but the initial, I think. Sorry, SW, right. SW was referring to the Vampire having a foot of algae on her hull, not the Canberra. Beg your pardon. Switch. Great. Now I've forgotten what the hell I was talking about. See, this is why I can't sit here and do all this stuff. Algae under the boat in the Canberra, not under the Canberra, under the Vampire, was it we were talking about? Yep. So that's in the Maritime Museum. Don't know if you're allowed to go down there and help clean the algae off. If they're having a scrape day, go down and enjoy yourselves. Woohoo, that'll be fun. The Bidens we were talking about. Now, Hunter Biden's laptop is starting to break into mainstream media news, boys. You mentioned about Biden being a bit weird and there are some strange things. What about Biden's press secretary, who...
The black lesbian.
If that's what she is, I don't know.
It is how they identify her.
The what?
Apparently, in their world, identity politics, this is the most important thing. So when she joined the head of the chief of whatever it's called, public relations thing, that's what they celebrated. First woman, black lesbian thing. So if that's the
first woman, because they'd had one of them.
That's right.
So she had to be, and there probably was a black one as well. So that'd be a black lesbian one.
Yeah. And these things should be celebrated. If that's I'm all right.
I'd be lying if I said I'd never celebrated lesbianism. So
it's a great play, though, isn't it? That like they've put, they really have gone for the whole diversity thing, and put the highest hierarchy victim that they can find according to their rules. But then it creates that you cannot criticize it. her ridiculous answers to Peter Ducey and some of the people who actually ask reasonable questions, and the way she blows them off and doesn't answer questions and uses all the ridiculous. It's just so over the top. But she's got the victim status, so you can't criticise her. That's the plan anyway.
Awakened Women's Collective, very disappointed as a Mackay Triple M radio announcer blocked me straight away during a live this morning, as all I was posting was mainstream media need to tell the truth and unite in white. What a great hashtag to start spreading, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, is it surprising? It's not surprising. Particularly the announcers working in regional areas, they are at one end of the radio spectrum or the other. They are either at the very beginning of their career or they're at the very end of it. And they've found a niche in a certain market, and they are understanding their position, their role. If you want to use fish terms, they are big fish in little ponds. And that's not a bad thing to be if you're only focused on being that in a local radio market. The other ones, the new kids on the block, are young fish in a big pond or a relatively moderate-sized pond, and they've got to fight their way to the top. And they haven't got a desire to stay in that pond. They want to migrate off to the next biggest pond. So that's why you get a lot of transient younger voices that move through your radio networks. Consequently, if they want to move up in their career, they join a network like that one mentioned there. And the politics involved in getting your career going forward and maybe moving into a metropolitan role significant. And you'll have to demonstrate that you have the ability to pull an audience. And I don't mean an audience like the Voice of Freedom has. I mean you have to have a personal profile, social media profile, larger the better. But I'm talking, I know girls particularly who are applying for breakfast radio jobs in regional Australian breakfast radio markets aren't even looked at unless they've got 150,000 Instagram followers or 100,000 Facebook followers. I don't think you can get 100,000 Facebook followers. But, if you've got a YouTube channel, you've got to have a certain amount before a radio network will even look at it. Is that fair?
And 30 years ago, all she needed was a set of knee pads.
I never worked at a radio station like that. I just want to let you know. Never happened. The WF, that's a good one too. Thank you, Pineapple. Darren's turned up, and Spiros is now able to get in. Shit, it's a party boy. So, all right, let me just answer this one for Pineapple. First of all, Funny Klaus and whatnot haven't turned up at the WF. No, Klaus has apparently got sick and couldn't come, and George Soros had another appointment, which was a bit disappointing, I suppose, for everybody who's flown halfway around the world to go to a not so secret meeting in a very strange place in the middle of a very frozen land. It is how it is. All right. We have all sorts of issues getting in tonight, but the boys have finally got here. Darren Bergwerf has arrived on time, and Spiros has finally joined us. So, Darren, I know you're sitting in the green room. I hope you don't mind. Give me a thumbs up if you don't mind waiting for a minute or two. And I will, thanks, mate, and I will just bring in the man of the day. Good morning, Spiros. Good morning. Good evening, Spiros. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, good, thanks. It was my fault. I was using the wrong browser. I went to say the wrong browser. I didn't use Chrome, and all I needed to do was switch over to Chrome, and here I am. So, sorry, I'm not computer savvy.
That's all right. We hope you're better in a court. All right. Very quickly, because there's a few things that I want to cover tonight. Over the Christmas break, I hope you had a great Christmas and a happy new year to you and associated people in your family and group. We're looking forward to doing some great things with you going forward this year, and you and I have had a couple of discussions already. But there'll be more on that at a later time. We do want to focus on a few different areas this year, but over the Christmas break, we've received a lot of emails from people who are wondering about the class action. They've joined and wondering where it's at. I've tried to explain to people that when a class action goes to work or gets put into movement, it works in phases. And right now, the class action is in phase 1, and that's finding out, A, how many people want to be involved, and as part of that, how much they are owed through it. then phase 2 will be presenting that action to the court once you've got all the people that want to be involved in it. And then phase 3 is actioning that through the courts and getting a result, hopefully, that results in a positive for everyone else. Do I have that vaguely correct?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Spot on. So
Okay.
You've been paying attention at our coffees.
I've been trying.
Yeah, so that's exactly right. And we are, for the benefit of those last year who started. I mean, we're in Christmas, which makes it worse. Not that many people know, but the courts shut down and lawyers all go away, and they all come back around about the middle of January, which is pretty normal. And that's exactly how it went now. So at the moment, I'm collating all of the emails that have come in. Having said that, I'm also dealing with the fact that we got hacked and we got sabotaged. It's just like unbelievable. I haven't even started and they've hacked me. I'm like, let me get started. Let me get something going and then hack me. But don't hack me before I've even lodged the case. But no, so we're getting all sorts of issues. But look, it's okay. I'm slowly going through it, and it matters not to me because my intention is on the 1st. Once I prepare all the writs and get everything ready on the 1st of Feb, that's when I'm filing. So I don't really care, and there's no real damage. If people have think that there's a rush, as you know, there's no rush. There's no rush.
No.
It's gonna take me a year, maybe a year and a half, to get this thing from start to finish because that's just how long it takes to get through the legal system. So as long as I file the action, you'll be, you and I, we're in for the ride. So we'll see how we go.
Okay, great. I have been approached, I don't know, since our first interview, I've been approached by hundreds of people, hundreds of emails asking questions, particularly of, can we find Spiros? Can I get him to help me in my court matter? Now, we've discussed you are no longer a practicing lawyer, so therefore you are not able to give legal advice as such. But because you did work as a practicing lawyer, were you a barrister as well, or just, well, not just a lawyer, but a lawyer, or did it step further? Obviously, you represented.
Well, all three. There are three that you can do. You can be an attorney. I was and still can be. You can be a licensed practitioner, which means you got to pay your fees and your insurances and all that nonsense. And I'm not. 20 years ago, I walked away from that. And you can, and a barrister really, there's a technical thing that's called a barrister, but really, if you're turning up to court and you're running a case, by action, you're a barrister. So but it's like you can be a barista, or you can just make coffee for people, and you're a barista by profession. So believe it or not, it's the same, with the exception of a solicitor, where you can't call yourself a licensed practitioner unless you're licensed by the relevant body and you pay your fees and you're a paid up member. It's like a club. But that doesn't prevent me from running litigations. It doesn't prevent me from appearing in court and running the whole case. It all depends. What I'm not allowed to do, unless I get leave of the court, and last year they stopped giving me leave, strangely. After the Supreme Court win in New South Wales, that was it. That was my last chance. I got one last punch in, and they exercised judicial discretion. Judicial discretion means the judge can say no. And so when I ask for permission to appear, they now say no. And I'm like, okay, no worries. That's in a defended matter. No such restriction when I'm issuing proceedings. It's when you're when I'm trying to defend someone else. They're not there. They've stopped me from doing that, which is disappointing for the 100 or so clients that when I say clients, people that have come to me for help, during the COVID, for instance. Yeah. But otherwise, it's business as usual. Don't worry, everything's fine. There's always a way.
So yeah, you are, obviously still a wealth of legal knowledge, and just because you haven't paid the fees doesn't mean you've had to forget everything that you've learned over your career. So you have graciously offered, and I have ravenously accepted, to answer a few legal questions on behalf of people who may have problems in the community. And this is something that we would like to do on a weekly basis, folks. It's called free legal opinion. Because it's not advice.
You can't give advice. No advice at all whatsoever. No advice at all. But free legal discussion. Let's have a discussion about your case, and let me tell you what I think you could do, and how I think it could proceed, and how I would do it if I were you, which is absolute bollocks and nonsense. But nevertheless, mate, let's play the game. Why not?
Okay, so folks, I've just put a crawl up across the screen there that should allow you, if you want, to email me some details about what you would like to talk about. Now, I had just fortuitously, I had a conversation today with a lady named Wendy, who was most distraught and looking for some advice or some comment on her situation. So I invited her, Spiros, to come on the show tonight. For a variety of reasons, we eventually decided that this wasn't going to be a really helpful thing. So can I kick you off with she sent me an email. I asked her to give me a background or an outline, some issues she has, some action that she's taken, and what help she is hoping to find. Are you happy to hear this one out?
Go on then. Let's give it a go. See how we go.
Okay, so this is from Wendy, background and the background outline. Family members have lodged Civil Administrative Tribunal QCAT application for guardianship and administration of a vulnerable family member. She's identified several discrepancies within their application that no one at QCAT seems to investigate, and are letting the family member get away with writing this false information in their application, and the evidence they've lodged were questionable, and it did not appear to be relevant to their statements. They made false allegations about me with no evidence to support what they were accusing me of, financial and/or medical abuse. I'm concerned this was done to stop me from seeing what was going on. I also lodged an application with evidence of excessive medication and potential abuse, with evidence to support my claims of excessive medication taken from pharmacies and other issues. I'm concerned that QCAT just saw what the family did not agree on, finances, medication and visitation, and appointed the Office of the Public Guardian and Public Trustee to control these areas. I'm concerned they might not have been looked into at the extensive evidence that I lodged, and have left my vulnerable person in the hands of abusers. Issues with the public trustee. I have concerns about the failing of the public trustee to fully investigate financial misconduct of all vulnerable family members' bank accounts. I was told that the other family members were uncooperative with the public trustee investigation and didn't even want them to investigate certain dates within the period a vulnerable person was deemed as incompetent. The person that the public trustee did investigate, and they cleared, myself for that period. Other family members believe there is still money taken outside of that period, investigated that the family member who lodged the QCAT applications is reinforcing these false allegations with other family members, which is led to her being defamed and treated differently by other family members. There are obviously similar issues going on with the public guardian. From the day of the QCAT reading the decision, 10 days after the hearing, the decision being made, she's told the Office of Public Guardians, the OPG and representatives of her concerns about the medical abuse and asked for an investigation. They gave her several stories that they don't investigate the past. They don't investigate as it would be like them investigating themselves, and they don't do that. In the past 12 months, the other party and a third party have made false, unsubstantiated or hearsay allegations to the OPG Guardian, who decided they do investigate, and they did look at the issues from the past. It appears they did this as a one-sided investigation was done, and yes, that was against her, resulting in a biased decision. Action she has taken, she's gone through their 2-tier review process, and they just say the decision will not be changed. She's asked the OPG Guardian to tell her what the allegations were and how they came up with their decision. Their response is that they are telling me when they gather the information and see if they can tell her then, mind you, for the decision they have already made. I don't quite understand that bit. We might have to clear that one up. What help is she hoping for? I have what I believe is evidence to support my concerns about excessive medication, including what I believe to be an opioid and other abuse against our vulnerable family member. I'm willing to be investigated against all financial affairs and vulnerable persons investigated to clear my name. Wants her name cleared, wants the vulnerable person protected, and wants her access to the vulnerable person restored. Would like to know if there is any legal help out there that may be able to look at no win, no fee or a pro bono case, make small contribution towards the legal fight, but hope she's retired and can't afford large bills, essentially. So I'm sorry, I just sort of picked that up as we were going to air and I hadn't pre-read it. I would have maybe edited a little bit. That's basically it for word for word. What sort of a position are we in when we have family members squabbling amongst each other? Usually it's after the vulnerable person has died and they're squabbling over the will. This has started out early. So what thoughts on that?
All right, let's take it broadly and bring everybody on board as to exactly what's going on here, because I know what you're saying and I know what you're reading, but if someone's hearing this for the first time, they might be missing some of it. So here's the broad picture from 20,000 feet. Once a person comes of age, once they're over the age of 18, as far as my knowledge is concerned, they make all the decisions regarding themselves. That doesn't change just because they get to the age of 60 or they find themselves in a retirement village. Technically, an individual, once they're an adult, is an adult right up until they die. And that's fine. So that's excellent. Now, where's the problem? The problem is, for example, if I'm in a retirement home and I don't like the way I'm being treated, I can leave because I'm an adult and I'm allowed to do that. Now, because you're not committed, you haven't been, it's not a jail. But funny that it may not be called a jail, but it soon can become a jail very quickly. Now, what happens sometimes is this. A person may get to an age where they start to become forgetful. There might be some dementia, or for whatever reason, they're not capable of making their own decisions. Now, if it gets to that stage, there are a couple of options. One option is that a family member can apply to be a guardian, a legal guardian of that person. That application, there's two ways that can be done. That can be done with consent, which is questionable. The other way it can be done through an application through the relevant authority, whether it's VCAT or they take it up a notch. So you make an application to say, I'd like to be the guardian. And as the guardian, if you're approved, you act as if you're the guardian. It's very similar to an enduring power of attorney. Now, I'm familiar with those because that's the authority that gives me the power to act for you. When you asked me, how can I act? I said, well, it's called an attorney. So if you appoint me as your attorney, then I can act for you in that capacity for the limited case. In this instance, it goes one step further. Not only can you apply to be a guardian appointed over, let's say, your loved one, but and someone else can apply. For example, the state. I mean, I'm using these words, but I know I'm wrong. It's not the state. They're not the state. They're just corporation. But a corporation pretending to be some sort of medical body can make an application and they put forward some evidence to say you're no longer capable of thinking for yourself, and we're going to look after you. We've got your best interests at heart. And then the tribunal or the court, wherever they make their application, depending on the circumstance, grants them that. So it becomes sort of like a court order. And the court order, once given, can only be taken away from the court. And so it sounds to me like what's happened here is that we've had both problems. Number one, family members, and I'm just going off what I hear, but family members with perhaps questionable motives applied to become the guardian of the elderly person. Usually that's the case when there's some money involved. The most recent one I did in the Supreme Court just before Christmas wasn't a guardian application, it was the other one. It was a power of attorney. Now, in my instance, my client was the power of attorney. And someone else in their family decided they wanted to be the power of attorney. And believe it or not, they succeeded. They got in and they said, made some accusations about stealing money and all that stuff. That's what it gets very, very horrible. It's very, very messy. Family members go against each other. So what's happened here is both has happened. There's been a dispute, and it sounds to me like the tribunal, to play it safe, has appointed a court, let's call it a court appointed or a tribunal appointed guardian, and that guardian is now calling the shots. And your viewer, your listener, is in that world. And I can give it to you in a nutshell. It's all over. It's terrible. There's no. It's one of the worst types of cases that I get. The only thing worse is when they snatch children from parents under some bollocks legislation that they claim is legit, which of course it's not. But it's worse because there's tiny little children involved and they never recover. So I guess the long and the short of it is, mate, for more extensive help, you can pass on my email address, and I'm happy to spend some time talking to her to discuss the details. But for the sake of what we're doing here today, be mindful. It's a horrendous situation. These are laws, questionable. They're not laws, but they're questionable pretend powers that these quasi corporations have. And I get a lot of it, but it's a horrible thing. And you've just related to everybody that this happens every day. It's wrong. It's terrible. But it is what it is. That is happening right now as we speak.
In the chat, Kate has asked this question: is there a time limit on a criminal case?
Not that I'm aware of.
So there is no statute of limitations, for instance, on a murder trial, a rape case, a robbery?
No.
Okay. So
not that I'm aware of.
So you can bring a charge anytime. There you go. I hope that helps,
well,
Kate. That's
I'm now, remember, when I answer, I'm answering from my knowledge, and I'm answering from my knowledge on on acts that have actually been passed by the Queen, that are actual laws. So stuff that most people don't read, pre-1960, when laws were actually legitimate laws. If from 1960 on, somebody's reading an act, let's say 2015, and in 2015 they're suggesting that they've changed that, and now robbery or rape or whatever has a statute of limitations. Well, that's bollocks. So I'm ignoring bollocks. So I'm just letting people know when I answer from my own personal knowledge, from acts that I'm aware of that are legitimate, as opposed to these pretend laws that we've had shoved in our face for the past 50 or 60 years. So the answer is no. If it's an indictable offence, it's always an indictable offence. That's what the long arm of the law means. The long arm of the law means we've got very long arms. Eventually we'll catch you. It's just might take us a few centuries. Yeah.
Okay. Billy Hilly says, I'm over 18. My parents still want to tell me how I should be spending my money and what I do with it in my house. Why do boomers think they can still treat millennials like children and run our dollars?
I don't know. That's a That's a side question. That's illegal, but I can answer the legal component of it if he wants to know what I think about.
Can I stop my parents interfering with me and how I spend my dollars?
Actually, you can. Actually, number one, they can't interfere with you. If they touch, please, if they touch a single penny of your piggy bank, it's theft. It's a criminal offence. So you can put a sign on your door and let them know that because they're not. You can also put a sign saying no trespassing on your bedroom door. It's not as strong, but it'll get them thinking. But no, once you're 18, you can chill out. Once you're 18, you're in charge. That's it. Legally, you are. Psychologically and emotionally, probably not, but who cares about that? The bottom line is that you're old enough to drink, and so, no one can touch your stuff. No one can tell you what to do. Indeed, when I say no one, I mean no one. Not the police, not Dan Andrews, not any pretend, authority. The beauty about living in this country, the beauty about the fact that we live in a free country and we're free people is that freedom means something, and that means you're free to do as you please, as long as you don't hurt anybody.
Grow a set of balls. That's what I'd say.
Well, no, it's family. You got to be polite. Your mum, you can't be mean to your mum.
Well, what I would say,
probably cut them off at some stage by the sound of it. So, Rob, sorry.
What I would say is that what you're going to find in life is that there's a balance between what you want and a nagging mother. Pick your battles.
Pick your battles.
Pick your battles. That's not one. Just say yes, mum, and then I think the idea is, what they don't know won't hurt you. That's so that was the way that's the rule we had as kids. What mum and dad don't know won't hurt us. And it's the old Spartan rule. It's the old Spartan code. Don't get caught. Don't get caught. All's fair. Don't get caught.
And it's better to ask for forgiveness than better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Yes.
I have a question, Spiros. G'day, Spiros.
Yes.
Hey, just because we're on YouTube, I'll quick background, but we'll keep it YouTube friendly. In 2020, in America, there was this popularity contest between this orange man and this old guy with dementia. And just recently, a legend called Elon Musk, who bought Twitter, has released all these factual evidence that there were certain players who manipulated this popularity contest by withholding Hunter Biden's laptop and a few other things. Myself and some other people, many people, bet money on that popularity contest, and I'm wondering if there's a class action there where we can sue the people who illegally or manipulated that popularity contest.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's
2 days
good
he
one.
sat in that chair and said absolutely nothing about all of this, folks.
No.
And then he pops that bloody question. How good?
Yes, no, that's a really good one. It's actually a proper, a legitimate question. As much as I know you're probably saying it tongue in cheek, it's not as crazy as you sound. For example, if I bet on Farlap to win the Derby, and then I find out later that somebody hobbled Farlap and I lost my money, do I have a claim? Well, that's a tricky one, because the people that committed, or if there was a crime committed in hobbling Farlap, e.g., they injured Farlap or crippled her, or crippled him, or whatever, then those people are guilty of clearly they'd be guilty of a criminal offence if it could be proven that somebody did something unlawful. So I guess the question you're asking is, if it was unlawful, it's a long stretch, but we could probably spin it. so that we could get something. For example, it's not unusual if you prove that a crime has happened that you can then sue the criminal. That's not unusual. That's a civil action against the criminal. You may remember an African American in America was accused of murdering his wife, and he got off because a glove didn't fit. And then later he was sued by her parents civilly. So that sort of thing, if he was convicted, then the lawsuit would have been certain. Here in Australia, for example, you can have a criminal and a civil suit against the same person, and what happens is the criminal suit goes first, because clearly that makes sense, and then after the criminal suit, your civil action then starts. So that's what happened to me. That's the way we ran it, going back a couple of years. We had both criminal and civil, and so I had to wait to the outcome of the criminal, and then once that was resolved, and there was a conviction, then we ran the civil as well. So you're not as crazy as you sound. It's an American lawsuit. I don't know if I would run it in Australia because we're not the same, but I can see a firm making billions of dollars in America with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a couple of comments here about being able to get some free legal advice. There's some people wanting to ask questions privately. Just want to point out, folks, Spiros is giving us his time and his knowledge and his not advice but opinion, experience, and we're doing it this way. If you can put a question in the chat and we can find that question in the chat, great. If you want to write a question to me and have me read it out next week when we do this again with Spiros, great. If you want to pre-record your question and email it to me, then great, let's do that too. But no, Spiros isn't trying to attract business here, and he is doing many, many, many other things. He doesn't have time to answer you privately and to take your calls or listen to the stories or the longer emails. Apologies for that, but that's just how it is. At the end of the day, it is only opinion. It is not legal advice. So if you are seeking legal advice and you have a court case coming up soon, look, we're happy to give you whatever we can between myself, Fitz with Common Law, and Spiros, if he is available and we can get a question. If you're happy to type that question in now, we'll answer it. But yeah, we don't have time to answer 25 questions from one person, and I'm sorry, Spiros isn't taking on private clients, so to speak. So as long as I can just set the record straight there, folks, that's how it'll be when we do this. If you've got a disputable question, you've just got a broad legal question, then we might be able to offer an opinion, but it won't be done privately. So
that's right.
That. Neither of us have time.
We can. I think the advantage of us and this forum will be that we can discuss what it is that's happening, so that people can get their brain around it, including concepts. Concepts are great to discuss. Can you, like that question we just got? That's a conceptual argument of, could we do that? But you can also make it, like you can ask. We can discuss what happens if my neighbour's dog comes and romances my cat. We can talk about that. That's okay. But if we started to do, and I'm backing you up on this one, Carl, if we started to do actual people's cases, that we wouldn't have time to do more than one because they're so deep and complex, and then you're getting into nitty-gritty, and that's not what we're doing. We're trying to, I think what we're all trying to do is all get involved in the conversation, and as much as we can keep it broad and intellectual, I think that's going to work a hell of a lot better. Otherwise, send emails, and where possible, we'll if I can't deal with it, I can direct people to somebody who might be able to help them. That's okay too. We can do that too. We're all on the same. We're all working on the same team, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking on the same team, I've had a team member standing around in the background now for about 30 minutes or so. I know we'd only planned on chatting for half an hour. So thank you for coming on and spending a little bit of your time tonight with us. I really appreciate it. And we'll look forward to organising a day one day next week. We can come back and give your opinion on any more legal things people might have questions over. So email me, carl@vofhq.com, if you want to email a question in that I can read for Spiros. You heard how the email I read earlier came in. Give us an outline, make it brief, put bullet points. Give us an outline of what your problem is, and give us a couple of points of what you would hope to be an outcome, or what you've done to try and gain an outcome so far, and what you are hoping to gain if you were to have a case as such, and what would you hope to get out of that? How do you win it, so to speak? Send that through to carl@vofhq.com, or conversely, be watching next week's show when we have Spiros on again. Type the question in there, and the Galactic Larrikins, who at this point in time are just enthralled, but haven't been spotting questions. Next week, they'll be spotting questions, won't you, boys? I was reading them. Producers. We might be looking for producers soon. Just saying, just saying. Spiros, love your work. Thank you for coming on, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Have a good week. Be safe on the road.
Cheers. See you guys next week.
See you, Spiros.
See you, buddy. That's great. And sorry, I'll now say it.
See you, Spiros.
See you, Spiros. Thanks, mate. See you.
There you go. He's nodding his head saying all great and well done.
Find a US partner for our...
Find a US partner for our
fast action against
yeah.
Name
Vijaya. And now on that note, I'm going to bring in this bloke, Mr. Darren Bergwerf.
Hey, Mr. Mayor.
How are you?
Hey, young guys. Yeah, really good.
Good to hear you. Thanks for coming on. You've had a bloody busy day today. You haven't got off that phone. I imagine you've just charged it up again for the third or fourth time. So appreciate you sticking around for such, this late at night, mate. Really appreciate it.
No, that's all right. I've had to leave. I've actually, we're restructuring my place, Frankston, at the moment. So we've got an MC now that handles it, and he couldn't. He kept winding me up when I did a 10-minute kind of prelude to the new crowd. We had about 20, 30 new people here tonight that hadn't been here before, and he's giving me the wind up. I'm only like 10 minutes in.
Wow.
Yeah, and we've got a doctor at the moment doing a presentation for 30 or 40 minutes on the immune system and how we activate it, and we've got another guy doing a presentation after that. So I'll be taking a bit of a back seat, and I'm going to be more concentrating on the growth and supporting all the other My Place communities around the country.
Yep. And of course, that's becoming an ever-increasing job on a daily basis. Have you got a current count for us? How many My Places are being set up around the country now?
Over 60. That's all I can tell you.
Over 60. Yeah. Round of applause from the Galactic Larrikins. I mean, everybody should be putting their hand up for that. Absolutely. That's awesome. Newcastle's the new one.
I had to go down and get and rehydrate halfway through Spiros' thing. Did you actually get him to give you an update on what's going on with the trust?
Well, the trust at the moment, the class action at the moment, I beg your pardon. No, we didn't get an update on the trusts. That'll have to be next week's question. He is very focused at this point in time on, I think the direction, I did speak with him about this a couple of days ago. The direction with the trust has been, if people are wanting to fight things like rates and what is being termed illegitimate fines or fees placed upon them, they can still continue contributing to the trust and keep moving on. The government is finding new and interesting ways to slow the entire process down or to fight you every step of the way. And that means that they are using other arms under their control to pressure you into paying your fine or paying your rate or whatever.
Well,
they are using other legal arms.
The trust is actually put on hold at the moment. So that's what I was hoping would have come out, because that needs to be advertised. We're sending emails out to our all the people that are in there at the moment, and we're not taking any new ones because what we believed at the start when we started this process is not working. They're ignoring the whole thing, and they're escalating, which is making a lot of people nervous. And their fines are going up. So we've put a hold on basically processing any more individual claims through the trust.
Okay.
And basically sending out an email to them shortly, which Spiros has just got to sign off on what we've written to make sure he's happy with it. They're at the stage where they've just got to. It's up to each individual whether they hold the line and push it as far as they can, and wait till they get a sheriff's letter, and then enter into a payment plan, or whether they enter into a payment plan now. But whatever they do, it's going to be a personal choice as to your ability to sustain pressure, or how confident you are in the outcome going in our favour at the end of the day in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months time, when all this gets sorted out. So we're not processing any more individuals. It's all going to be about class actions. And we are pretty much saying to people, which is what I've done with my sheriff's letter, my extortion letter, is I've entered into a payment plan under duress, and people need to actually document every single transaction and correspondence with whatever corporation it is, and also all monies that they've paid and any previous fines or rates notices if they want to start to build a file, so that when the class action comes, they've got a position of claim.
So I understand and appreciate that position. I've been saying pretty much since I got on air and started this thing that common law is a great and wonderful thing if you understand it. But if you truly understand it, you'll understand that we currently do not have the thing that we most need, and that is an enforcement arm. They currently own the enforcement arm, and they own the court that your matter will be heard in. So having a win under common law should always be qualified with, well, they come back. And this is what we've been finding with the trusts, that the governments or the official authorities are finding new and interesting ways of applying pressure to make sure you get, or they get that little pound of flesh out of you, that money. So, yes, taking, as you said, Darren, I think the path of least resistance for you. If you're prepared to stand up and fight them on a sovereignty basis, then that's great. If you're not prepared to do that, if you are not prepared to be pulled over every time you take your car out on the street, claiming you're a sovereign person and you don't need to pay car registration, then they're going to pull you over every time. They're going to issue you as many fines as they want to, as many times as you're happy to accept them. Even if you're not happy to accept them, they're going to issue them, and you're going to wind up having to pay for them in the long run at this juncture. So weigh up how you want to play this. Entering into a payment plan under duress, I don't think is a bad plan. You pay it off at the minimum amount you can. Just means that they extract their pound of flesh really slowly. But like government and court, they don't mind just as long as they get it. That's sort of the motivation with them. And I think the Galactic Larrikins would agree that that's how they work it, the bastards. So okay, so
we noticed that back in after the GFC 2007, 2008.
Yeah,
and we were doing that sort of stuff and challenging the banks and those sorts of things. But they eventually get you, because I got a bad credit rating. So then I just eventually, when I had to borrow money, pay a much higher credit rate, whatever it's called, interest rate. So they get me eventually.
Yeah. So I'm glad to see that some, not common sense exactly, but I'm glad to see that there does seem to be a bit of a change in the tactic and in the plan there. And it doesn't mean that the plan is over or ended. There are still many other ways of moving forward, and you'll find out about them at your local My Place. If you haven't got a My Place, then get one soon. Got to tell you, Darren, I'm in Canberra. There is a lady here in Canberra who is desperate to have a My Place start in Canberra. She has been
There
running all
already
over
is,
town.
mate. There already is one in Canberra.
There already is?
Yeah, we had the Canberra coordinator on our Zoom last night.
Mate, I'm going to need the directions. Yeah. Sorry, the Galactic Larrikins are. Huh?
Who is it?
If you get, I think it's Rob, but if you get on myplaceaustralia.org on the website, there'll be a link to every single My Place in the country.
myplaceaustralia.org.
And there'll be a link to My Place Canberra. I don't know whether it'll be under New South Wales because I don't know whether we've got ACT in there as a state, but
yeah, sure do. One up and running. See, now last time I looked on here, there wasn't one up and running. And I am going to the Facebook group right now. My Place Canberra looks absolutely awesome. Has 48 members on it already. So the goal for My Place Canberra is to implement the project that allows us to step away from the current systems that are not serving our best interests. I think that's marvelous. And 48 people joined up to it. Woohoo. We don't seem to have a venue yet. And that's what the lady that's been contacting me has been trying to help out with. Unfortunately, in Canberra, most of the places she's gone to have been anywhere from community halls to pubs. And they're not interested in having anything like that on a regular basis. So it looks like we're stuck with trying to find someone who has a property, a big shed, or some other building.
I believe Old Parliament House is sitting there empty.
Yes. And it's got a new front door on it now, though.
Or Epic. Epic's got a nice big hall there in the at the front of the Epic showgrounds.
Epic does.
TGA, the Therapeutic Goods and Association Agency, whatever it is, that's empty. Been empty for about 3 months now.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah, don't know where they are. Yeah, they pulled out. Yeah, it's all we look after it. It's all empty.
Okay. No more TGA in the area where they used to be.
Don't know where they went to, but it's a secret.
They all build new buildings. I see that there is a lot of building going on in Canberra and places at the moment too. So, pretty full on. I've been quizzed about My Place left and right and centre, particularly in the Northern Rivers area. So, folks in the Northern Rivers, My Place, I think, is coming to, if it hasn't already been started, in the Byron area. I hear there's another one in Nimbin. And Darren, I heard on the grapevine that you might be hyping on the big silver bird with no propellers and arriving in the Sunshine State for a short sojourn over the border into Byron. And is that what I'm hearing?
That's a possibility. Nothing's confirmed yet. I've got Geelong this Saturday. I've got another one next Tuesday to go and speak at. I was at one last Saturday out at Whittlesea, and we had people come from Mansfield and from Greensborough to and look, it's amazing. I do need to get to because what you say on camera here and what we talk about on the Zooms, it's not the same as when you're in a room.
No.
And you know that we've come into My Place Frankston and the vibe and the energy that's in a My Place community. So I'm really keen to get up there, and I will get up there either second week of Feb or very late January. I haven't decided yet, but I'll coordinate that with you.
All right. Well, we should talk about that because I think Cherie is working her bits off at the moment with people in South Australia who are looking forward to getting us over to their part of the world for some live shows. And the Galactic Larrikins are extremely excited about it. See?
Give us a wave.
Timing is everything in comedy. Thank you, boys.
I think it's just comedy just by panning over there, mate. They don't have to do it.
You're right. You're 100% right.
But we do have a My Place Newcastle started on Sunday when I was actually at Myers doing some shopping, and they've got 200 already, and also off the back of that, we've got My Place Port Stephens now also. And the lady that started that is red hot. She's a big organizer, and she's part of another movement. And so look, everyone's jumping on board, and everyone's other groups now are starting to to follow our lead and go to local council meetings. I know all the A1 people now are being encouraged to frequent the local council and have their voices heard in their own backyard, which is what I've been spruiking for the last 6 months. So it's encouraging to see that everyone's kind of, following and copying the model that we've been building for the last 6 months down at Frankston. And this is the way forward. It's well structured. All of our groups, 11 of them, all have a purpose and a mission statement for what their role is, and that's to go out and get as much information in their specialty field, whether it be health or gardening, whatever it is, to go out there and do the research and bring an education model back to the rest of the community that aren't up to speed with what they know. So we, at the moment, because the country's so, or especially the Wake people are so willing and their minds are so open, that we are learning at a pretty steep learning curve on all aspects of life that we never would have entertained before. So we're becoming more complete and whole people as a whole, and it's really encouraging that that this is actually happening, and this is the answer moving forward, and not just for the next 6 months or 9 months, but for the next 100 years.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something we're going to be able to build into our kids, and that's probably one of the most important aspects of this. We've got to educate. Spiros and I have had some long conversations about education in the last few days. Knowledge is power, folks. The more education you can gain, the greater powers you will have to protect yourself going forward. Speaking of protecting yourself, my place is very, very successful. You've just said A1 starting to pick up major elements that you've been talking about now for 6 to 8 months. And it's great to see that that's being accepted. It's great to see Ricardo and crew acknowledging that, this is working. And the My Place plan, if you like, he's obviously seen it have the success that it has in the last 3 to 6 months. You must be very proud to see that your name, or the My Place name, is spreading like wildfire across the country. But there are some others who seem to be taking a little bit of advantage at the moment.
Oh yeah. I've had a bit of a call and some issues with another group that, look, I don't know the full story, and there's a lot of hearsay going on and stories about different people, which I try not to buy into. I've listened, and I've started to retract and refrain from commenting on individuals or even other kind of groups in name, at least. But we are having an issue, or not an issue, but it's come to my attention that another group are basically saying we're one in the same. But I've got to say that we don't want to be associated with any other group, and that's why I didn't mention the other group that you kind of did. We are solely independent as a community-led re-education group, and that's not just re-educating our own community, but it's also re-educating local councillors and politicians as to who they are. And show them why they're fraudulent and why they're sitting there in fraud, and just gently, not with a baseball bat, but just prompting them to actually dig it a little bit deeper, give them some information that they can read to start to actually get the councils to have a bit of a think about what they're doing and what we're bringing to the table, so that will start to cause a bit of division within their organisations, because that's all they do to us. They divide and conquer. So if we can start to put some information into those councillors and other people that they're doing the wrong thing, and this is why, here's all the evidence, that's going to create division, and that will potentially hope to start to eat away from their the fabric of what they're doing from the inside at the same time. But this other group is linking us as one in the same. We are not the same as any other group. I don't agree with the position that they hold as far as working with United Nations and world bankers, and potentially the First Nation group that they're working with. I don't believe are to be true and correct. So I don't particularly want to be linked as one and the same as TAP. We are a separate organisation, and we are growing exponentially and bringing, I think, a lot more to community than any other group. So,
I would agree.
And we're not
100%.
working. We will not work with United Nations. We will not work with the World Banks, and we will not work with anyone else except our Indigenous. That's a must. And the same when we're rolling out a whole merchandise team now for My Place Australia. We're going to look for subscriptions. We need to raise money because we need to fund our expansion. We're looking to get T-shirts done. And once again, I had an offer from someone that gets stuff done in China. I said, no, we're going to find a local producer. Now, if that means we only make $2 per T-shirt, I don't give a shit. But the whole idea of My Place is to encourage people to go back and shop at there and support micro businesses. If we can get a textile business up and running again in Australia by ordering 1,000, 2,000 T-shirts and some caps and whatever else every year, and get them started on at least getting the infrastructure put in place, so that when we get the hemp industry back and we get the control of the country back, we've already got a textile industry started. So we are looking for anyone that can make T-shirts, hoodies, and that kind of stuff, that do it locally. If we've got to pay a little bit more, that so be it.
I'm not sure that the textile industry exists anymore. When I first started looking for T-shirts for Voice of Freedom, I was reliably informed that every T-shirt sold in Australia is produced in China regardless. They have a variety of factories, that some produce the cheap ones all the way through to the really expensive high quality ones. So actually being able to find a facility in Australia to produce T-shirts, hoodies, caps, that kind of thing, I think is going to be very, very, very difficult. But it leads me into something else that I'm going to be talking to Cass Smith about and Spiros in the not too distant future. And that is something called a sovereign wealth fund, something that I think we should all be starting to consider for the not too distant future. And that would come to aid us in this area. But that's for another time. I'm with you too. I do not support TAP. I don't support their alignment, if you like, with the UN. And I have had first-hand knowledge of how it all works. They tried very hard to get me involved with them in the early days of the Voice of Freedom. Too much UN involvement for my liking. That's why I have nothing to do with them aside from anything else. And in fact, you'll find if you go back through these programs of mine, tonight is the first night I've ever mentioned them by name in a program. So I'm happy to support Darren in what he says here. Sure, let them go out and create whatever the hell it is that they want to create, Darren. But My Place is your creation. I'm just coming along for the ride to support you, but it is your creation and your vision, and it is your drive and determination that has got it to where it currently is. TAP can go off and call it the other place or, some other name. They don't need to be associated with the My Place name. And quite frankly, I would really be having a deep, close look at the organisation, any organisation that aligns itself with agencies, government organisations and globalists. I'd be given a second look to. That's just my opinion, but I wouldn't be getting involved. I haven't got involved. I've been given a good look for a while, and I've stepped well clear. So, I support that, Darren, and anything we can do to continue supporting you with the My Place movement. And hey, listen, are you going to let us know your catchphrase? I know you told me yesterday. but the new line, are you going to let that out of the bag? Because I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, definitely, because we've word marked it and trademarked it now anyway. So our t-shirts, caps, stubby holders, whatever stuff we get done will be. It'll be the website myplaceaustralia.org and myplaceaustralia.org, putting unity back into community.
Oh,
Nice.
we love that. Yeah, we're clapping now. Putting unity back into community.
That's
You want to tell the story how that came up?
Yeah, I certainly, because I can't take the credit for that. It's one of our coordinators from My Place Maryborough, Bruce, and his
Queenslander
wife.
or Victorian Maryborough?
Nah, Victoria Maryborough. Don't get too excited.
Getting a bit excited.
He's not a Maroon,
Plastic
mate.
Larry.
He's a true blue Vic, and he's a bloody legend. Good old Bruce, and he's as dinky die as you can come, and he's got a really good spirit, and I love it. He's been saying it on our Zooms for the last 4 to 6 weeks, and I said to him last night actually when we had a Zoom that mate, we're going to take that, we're going to run with it for My Place Australia, and he was keen as he said, yep, beautiful. So yes, thank you to Bruce and his missus from Maryborough for giving us that motto.
Excellent indeed. A brilliant motto. And we're going to need to do a little bit of negotiation, because at some point the Voice of Freedom and My Place are going to be on a T-shirt together, and I'd be happy to share that if at all possible. That'd be very good. Getting a couple of, a lot of great comments about it. It's genius is one of the great comments that popped up. And creating a lot of interest. Being told that we should be starting a My Place on the foreshore at Redcliffe. That's Chris, Starseeds and Patriots of Down Under. Thank you, buddy. You're the one that lives up there. You organise it. That's how it works. So
100%. And if there's anyone out there on Christmas Islands that would like to start a My Place Christmas Island, get in contact with Carl, and he'll pass your details on to me.
100%. Yeah, we'll sort that out. Galactic Larrikins are up for a road trip, aren't you, boys?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I love the slogan, but in your chat there also picked up possibly a viral marketing opportunity with the My Place re-education camp for city councillors.
Yeah, they're about to get a re-education little period of the next 6 weeks that they won't come back from.
Yeah, we won't go into it too deeply yet, but I'm sure over the next 6 weeks we will be able to discuss this in much greater detail. But
I'm trying to get everyone here's trying to pull me back and saying we've got to be more a little bit softer, and I'm saying that's bullshit. People have been trying a soft approach for decades, and they just get swept under the carpet. We need to really step it up and actually shine a torch on these cockroaches. I don't know whether you've seen. I got invited onto the Truth Seekers Zoom with Malcolm Roberts on Monday night.
Jeez, you get to go on with all the really good shows. Yeah. I never get invited onto them. The Galactic Larrikins don't get invited onto those shows like that.
Yeah, well, they're going to get Alex Antic and the other one as well shortly, and maybe Roberts will come back with Pauline, and we can get some more. But I asked him at one point. I asked him who he swore an oath to. He reckons we've got a constitution in this country, and I said that's bullshit. We don't have one, and I asked him who he swore an oath to, and it took him I don't know, it wasn't that long, but enough time that he was he couldn't even think what he was going to say, and he had his little keeper in the background there. Hugh had to prompt him to say the Queen. So he said, I swore an oath to the Queen, and put my hand on the Bible and swore an oath to the Queen. And I said, well, what Queen did you swear an oath to? He said, well, the Queen of Australia. And I just started laughing. I said, the Queen of Australia is a load of bullshit. The real oath is to Her Majesty Queen Victoria II of England and Ireland. And I said, you're all sitting there in fraud. He got his back up about that, saying that, that's a serious allegation or some garbage he went on with. But he skirted around questions. He didn't answer stuff. He blatantly lied, or his keeper lied that there's nothing in the Australian Constitution that says that they're not allowed to have political parties. But these are the kinds of opportunities that we need to seize and stop beating around the bush and asking fucking softball questions and ask the hard questions. I mean, we know that the mainstream media don't, yet the Truther movement won't go to the heart either. They're not doing what needs to be done, and we need to put these people on the spot, under a spotlight, watch them squirm, and get themselves on the hook, because he reckons we do have a constitution. He reckons the government's lawful. I said, stop calling it a government. You're not a government. You're all corporations, and people are waking up and understanding exactly who you are. So, but to his credit, he didn't spit the dummy. He was pretty good, even though he didn't answer the questions properly. But the whole Zoom thing ended amicably, so we will get an opportunity to do it again. So we can't go too hard, but we're still got to go harder than what most people do.
So your next steps with My Place then? What's up for the next month or this year?
This year is all about building the structure of My Place Australia. So we've got our basis and foundation with My Place Australia. We've got support groups. We're trying to link the 11 different groups that we have in each My Place community, and they won't all have all 11, because there's some groups that are only just started. But each time, the main groups that we're going to link Australia-wide, they've got their own committees within the My Place community. So the Council Action Group, we have those all around Australia in all the different My Place communities. That's one of the big ones. So we're going to do a Zoom. Those coordinators and committees are going to be linked up around the country, so they can share all their stories and touch base, because there's so much. I mean, the guy from Mannum that was on our Zoom last night, I mean, he's brilliant. He's a really strong leader. So we're picking up some really good people from around the country, and we've got to make use of those assets. And not just keep it in-house around Frankston, but we've got to include the whole country and all the strong leaders in these communities around Australia to have input and run My Place and direct which way we go as a consensus, not as just what I think, because there's a lot better brains out there than mine, and people with a lot different skills and other skills that need to be a part of how we grow My Place and the structure and how we move forward. So it's not all up to me. This is a shared kind of community. It's a shared project Australia-wide, and it's like politics, and like anything should be. It's all about discussion and a general consensus that everybody agrees when you get a meeting of minds and a lot of smart people in a room. And we all can back down on our position and just move into a consensus that everyone's happy with, and then there's no cohesion moving forward. There's no bitching. So that's how I see My Place going this year. Is bringing more and more communities in, more smart people into our organisation, and taking it to a whole new level.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be part of the ride, and thank you for the Galactic Larrikins being allowed to be part of this too. We're all very excited at being able to help promote this as we travel around the countryside, asking people to wake up a little bit, I guess, is what we're going to be doing. The Galactic Larrikins will be asking for toilet breaks and showers, but that's another story. We're going to
well deserved and well needed, no doubt.
Yes, 100.
Needed.
Yeah.
Democratic regime change. Basically, we've got a democratic.
And if you get that class action up against Sportsbet, I'm on board, because they owe me 29 grand.
Whoa!
Wow.
There you go.
And there's some big players on board. I reckon on that.
Ladbrokers, TAB,
Yeah.
Sports Bet. There was a few we placed bets on.
Yeah.
But it was the head of the basically Ministry of Truth for Twitter, that Vijaya Gade, who was the one who banned the laptop. And she gets paid some unbelievable. She got paid like $30 million for a termination fee or something like that. So she's got the coin.
Yeah.
Sue her personally. You did this. You're liable.
A lot more than that.
Oh, mate,
Yeah, absolutely. Darren, thank you very much for coming on tonight. I know you've had a huge day. I'll let you go home and have some, or you are probably.
Oh no, I'll go back down to the meeting, mate. The meeting's still going, so that'll be going till by the time everyone leaves, it'll be probably midnight tonight. But that's okay.
Well, look, I think when we left there, we left some beer in the fridge. So please feel free to have one of those if you want.
Yeah, well, that's long gone, obviously, but it's been replaced and replenished many times since.
Good on you, mate. Thanks for coming on, and we'll chat during the week. See you next week.
No worries. Thanks, Carl. Good on you, guys.
Cheers, mate.
See you,
Darren
mate.
Bergworth. Darren Bergworth, absolute legend of a human being. And if you would like a My Place in Your Places, I saw somebody talking about, I think it was Neville, who said he wants somewhere on the Central Coast. Look, Newcastle is a new one. That's probably not Central Coast. Port Macquarie is in the mix. They're looking at getting one up and going. Now, I know that Coffs Harbour has one that's up and going, but it's affiliated with that mob that Darren just spoke to, is my understanding, or spoke about. And as are a couple of others as you head further north into Queensland. So up to you. If you want to start up a different one in those areas, then I'm very keen to come and visit you. If you're from those current ones in those areas, I'm not coming. But I will come to Coffs Harbour and do a show somewhere else. Absolutely no problems at all. But I haven't wanted to be affiliated with that mob right from the word go. You'll find that Ricardo doesn't want to be affiliated with that mob and hasn't wanted to be affiliated with them from the word go. And that is something that is pretty solid through certain sections of this community, if you like, this communications community, I'm going to call it, because we are not influencers. Certainly I'm not an influencer. All I do is like to try and present information in a semi-logical manner, I like to think, and let you make the choice. It's up to, the Galactic Larrikins to tell me if I'm doing it right.
I will tell you. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm always telling you.
They're forever telling me. Have absolutely no fear. Once again, gentlemen, thank you very much for having me in your house. Thank you for helping me with putting all this gear together. Thank you for coming on the road and helping run it. Because and we were going to swap chairs, Bradford. I'm so sorry. Yeah, too late now. Well, do you want to set up another live stream? We'll go on Rumble and tell some rude stories. No. All right, it's getting a bit late. I know there are people saying, yeah, let's go and do that. We're not doing that. All right. We're not doing that. We still haven't figured out how to make. Can I pick it up with one hand?
Into a bar, barman says,
I got to get this thing working. Right. This. That's this. We've got to get that working. That stick is important, believe it or not. They always say the long, sharp stick.
Carl needs to get his joystick working.
Sorry. God. You'll be very happy to know, folks, that those dickheads out there on the road tonight, there's one less of them. He's sitting in here with us.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!